Hello and welcome to Deaf Mute Studio. In this video I'm going to be reviewing the 2001 film The 51st State, also known as Formula 51. The 51st State is directed by Ronnie Yu, who made Bride of Chucky.
What would Martha Stewart say?
Martha Stewart! Martha Stewart can kiss my shiny plastic butt!
Freddy vs. Jason. I've not seen either of those films, but I have seen one other Ronnie Yu film, and that film is Warriors of Virtue, the film that started and ended the Kung Fu kangaroo genre in its tracks.
Now the battle against the ultimate evil,
The answer lies with you.
is about to begin.
Come out and play! Touchdown. Bye-bye.
It was probably for the best. The 51st State has an incredible cast. It has the big Hollywood names of Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Carlyle, Emily Mortimer, Meatloaf, R.I.P., Sean Pertwee and Rhys Ifans, mixed in with well-known Scouse actors like Paul Barber, Stephen Walters, Michael Stark, and the absolute legend that is Ricky Tomlinson.
It's good to talk my ass. Crab's ass, my ass. Career my ass. Bridesmaid my ass. Pastor my ass. Borrow my ass. Lesson my ass. Talk to my ass. I shave my ass. Kiss my ass. Equalizer my ass. Reparations my ass. Bermuda my ass. Having a good time my ass. Keanu my ass. Makeover my ass. Tailwind my ass. Feng Shui my ass. Hey, Technofans my ass. Stencil my ass. Smiley my ass. Exit my ass.
The 51st State was written by Stel Pavlou, who famously wrote the film whilst working part-time at a shop. If you want to find out more about Stel and his experiences on the 51st State, I strongly recommend you watch my interview with him.
So I describe him as a bald black guy, tall, menacing, so something that sounds like him, but he's wearing a kilt. Because I'd read that he likes doing dress up, right? That's what actors are in it for, they like dressing up. And no black actor at that point had ever done anything in a kilt. So it was like an iconic image. And so we sent it to him and they said, yeah, he wants to meet.
The link to that episode of the Memo by Deaf podcast is in the description below. Please do check it out because Stel's stories will blow your right off your chest. Elmo McElroy, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is a streetwise American master chemist who heads to England to sell his special new formula, a powerful blue concoction guaranteed to take you to the 51st State. McElroy's new product delivers a feeling 51 times more powerful than any thrill, any pleasure, any high in history. But his plans for a quick, profitable score go comically awry when he gets stuck in Liverpool with an unlikely escort, Felix de Souza, played by Robert Carlyle, and his ex-girlfriend Dakota, played by Emily Mortimer, and becomes entangled in a bizarre web of double dealing and double crosses. So the film is set in Liverpool and I am also from Liverpool. I have very fond memories of this film being made. The chemist scene in this film was shot at my local chemist. Every lad in my school took the afternoon off to watch them film that scene. We saw Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Carlyle, Michael Stark, Sean Pertwee, which was genuinely mind-blowing as a 16, 17-year-old lad. Me and my mates were extras in the nightclub scene, which was beyond amazing. I even made it to the final cut of the film, just about. The state of that. Why didn't anyone tell me I've got a head like a baby xenomorph? So my expectations for the 51st State were through the roof. It was the first time ever I've seen a big Hollywood production in full swing, and it was definitely the first and only time I've ever been a part of a Hollywood production. I know I was only an extra, but it was a big deal for a 16, 17-year-old with a xenomorph head. And if I'm being completely honest, I've been dining out on that experience for, well, always. So I figured that this amazing experience that I'll always remember positively will translate to the big screen. And because of Samuel L. Jackson being the big star, I genuinely thought this film would be the next Pulp Fiction. I had nothing to base that on, of course, because beyond watching a few scenes being filmed and being an extra, I had no idea how the film would turn out or even what the film was about. Could this film meet my gargantuan and, quite frankly, unrealistic expectations? Of course not. In my oddly shaped head, I wanted Pulp Fiction 2. I wanted a serious, sprawling crime epic, an Oscar darling that would conquer the cinematic world. And more accurately, I wanted to be a part of a serious, sprawling crime epic that would be hailed as the greatest British film ever made. But what we got was something completely different, and I'm glad my insane expectations weren't met, because the film that we got was something that I don't think UK cinema has ever seen before or since. The 51st State is a cocktail of different cultural sensibilities that has no right to work as well as it does. Although the majority of the film is set in Liverpool, it's not really a Scouse film. I wouldn't even call it a British film. It's a Hollywood film, set in Liverpool with the stylistic infusion of Ronnie Yu's Hong Kong cinematic culture. And I think it's this melting pot of culture and ideals that really separates the 51st State from its counterparts of its time. It's almost as if the 51st State is a Hollywood/Hong Kong wolf in Scouse sheep clothing. And with this Liverpool skin, it makes the film a peculiar watch, because we're not used to seeing films like this. British cinema doesn't usually like to mix styles and sensibilities, because they generally like to convey British realism, and for the most part take itself seriously, generally speaking, revelling in the gritty or unmistakably British rather than the ludicrous. If you look at some of the British films that also came out in 2001, Birthday Girl, Gosford Park, Charlotte Grey, The Hole, Bridget Jones's Diary, Blow Dry, Mean Machine, to name a few. All these films, you'd be safe in describing them as having a strong British identity, stylistically and tonally. But with the 51st State, there's a kind of bravery that I find endearing. It's not afraid to be cartoonish, straight up ridiculous or individual, and it uses everything at its disposal to push its zero fucks given attitude further and further. And I think they picked the perfect location to set the 51st State in, because Liverpool as a city and as a people lends itself to this attitude perfectly, as Liverpool, for the most part, prides itself on its individualism and often sees itself as a rebellious state within the UK. The cinematography from Hang Sang-poon, say that 3 times fast, who's worked on Kung Fu Hustle, and Jackie Chan's Crime Story, complements the film's attitude, steering us far away from the usual British gangster gritty realism and goes all out kinetic, opting for wild angles and movement rather than beautifully well lit frames or raw realism. Mix this in with its MTV styled fast paced editing and you've got a British crime caper like no other. And if the overall style doesn't cement this attitude, then the dialogue should.
Welcome to England. Actually, that makes me out to be a bit of a liar, because let's face it, pal, you're about as welcome as a doze at a clap.
Bring on the horses! Get them rogering the dancing girls! That's the circus!
This particular Yank is not a travelling salesman. He's a genius. Who is this?
Watch it, you on me boots!
blokes are shagging the mothers-in-law to get a ticket for that. And I'm getting two from Mr. Durant. So unless you can out a couple of tickets on the spot, I suggest you shut the up. But...
Arthur, come in, Arthur. Over. Why don't you try the big fat button, Arthur?
Yes, sir.
He me. I'm truly ass invaded.
Where's he gone? We're late.
Well, he's...
You left him at the pub.
I want you to describe the situation to me.
7 shades of and a 1 trumpet, sir.
Got a nice little Cooper that needs a lick of paint. She goes. Throw in the XJ6 and she's yours for 100 quid.
Deal.
What, a Cooper? Off, Popeye. And you.
The game's tomorrow.
Put your gun on the table, you gump.
I saw me dad hit me mother hit me brother hit me sister, and me sister me father, so I suppose it's inevitable, really. I mean, he'd have to be on drugs just to live in that madhouse. Wouldn't you? Drugs are good, Mr. McElroy. Drugs are our mates.
I'm getting on my own nerves.
Cuddy was a bad idea, Lance.
How much are they paying you to wear Dad's skirt? Fag.
You know that'll be his undoing one of these days, but what you'd expect from a fella who gets his arse waxed every month.
I've been shot!
Where?
Kick that f***ing ass!
Let it go!
I'm trying, you f***ing fairy! Ah!
Aye, aye. Got some blue tabs. They look like sweets. How are you?
What do you mean, how am I? Really cut my ear off. Don't hurt my knee.
What's the plan, then? Freshen up? Massage? Maybe you fancy a bucket of fried chicken?
Omar! You're messing with me delicate energy field here, all right? Okay. Looks like that. Find your centre, Omar.
Well, in a bag and punch it.
And like every other aspect of the film, the characters and the writing are completely original to what we've seen from the usual British cinema. Because realism isn't the name of the game for the 51st State. It's the classic comedy fish out of water setup, where we see Samuel L. Jackson's Elmo McElroy visit a strange place and struggle to come to terms with the language and the culture. And if you're gonna do that in a city like Liverpool, then you make it as batshit crazy as you can. This film does not give one solitary f***, and I love it for that. I feel The 51st State is a very misunderstood film. It's commonly labelled as a crime film with comedic elements, which I feel doesn't do the film justice, and I think we've got it the wrong way round. It's a comedy film with a criminal backdrop. The 51st State is a film that knows exactly what it is. It isn't a film that takes itself too seriously. It's an outrageous, comical and borderline cartoon-like film. This kind of film is very rare these days, and for that reason I think we should treasure that it actually got made in the first place. It was a crazy experiment that had no right to work, but it did. And I doubt we'll ever see another film like that again. So that's my review of 2001's The 51st State. Have you seen the film? Do you agree with my review? Let me know on social media and the comment section below. If you could do me a solid by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, I will shit in a bag and punch it. But most importantly, thanks for watching. Ta-da.